Hi, this is Jeremy Moskowitz, Group Policy MVP and founder of PolicyPak Software. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use the power of PolicyPak Least Privilege Manager to do PolicyPak application control. So sometimes that's interpreted as whitelisting or blacklisting or just putting the smack down on all things you don't want users to run. Now, it would be good if you had watched the previous video on this, which goes over Secure Run. This is kind of the next level of that. This is actually going to turn on even more thumb screws than that. I'll actually also at the very end of this video also talk a little bit more about Secure Run, but let's go ahead and do things one by one. I kind of have like 5 little base hits of things I want to show you. The first thing is how to block command prompt in PowerShell. Then I'm going to show you how to block all scripts and then maybe run a particular script if you want to. I'm going to show you how to block Java, how to block MSIs. Then I'm going to show you how to turn it all the way down, just completely turn on all the thumb screws and block all executables. And you can add back in the things that you would want to have run. Okay, so I'm going to do this in that order. Again, blocking command and PowerShell is going to be first. So this is going to be kind of a longish video, so stick with me. You'll get to see all sorts of ways you can do application control using PolicyPak Least Privilege Manager. I'm going to start off by creating a GPO for my East sales guys. I'm going to call this PP App Control or PolicyPak Application Control. Again, you're using the Least Privilege Manager component. You could do this either on the computer side or the user side. I'm going to do this on the user side. So I'm going to go to user side, PolicyPak, and go to Least Privilege Manager. I'm going to build a couple of rules, okay? The first rule is going to be a new executable policy, and we're going to block PowerShell and PowerShell ISE. So we're going to make a combo rule here, and the combo rule is going to say when it's anything named PowerShell, and also where the underlying file info has that as well, that's when we're going to get you. So I'll show you what I mean. So the first thing we're going to do is add in the file here, and I've got the path because I can never remember where PowerShell lives. So we're going to not just say where PowerShell normally lives. We're just going to say anything PowerShell. So like anything star. That's perfect actually. So star power okay? That is going to nullify it, but that's only half of the battle. The second half is the actual file info. So we're going to grab that same information here by touching PowerShell executable, and we're going to say when that internal information is higher or equals 1. So any version of PowerShell at all, higher or equals 1. We're grabbing that internal information, and when now these two things are true, we're going to deny execution. Okay, we're going to do that exact same thing for the PowerShell ISE. So we'll go ahead and do a new executable policy here for combo rule. Say path and file info again, and we're going to say add a file, and again it can just be star power whoops, I spelled it wrong. Gotta get that right there. POWERSH star, and then the file info condition. Now we're going to touch the ISE, so go ahead and select the exe here. There it is, PowerShell ISE. And now if this thing is higher or equals version 1, bang, higher or equals version 1. Okay, we're going to deny execution. Now, before I test this out, let's go ahead and just see first, can I run PowerShell as a mere mortal? If I type PowerShell here, does it run? Yes, it runs because I haven't run GP update. And if I run PowerShell ISE, okay, PowerShell ISE, does that run? Yes, that runs also. So now it's time to run GP update and do a quick test here. Okay, let's give this a second or two to finish up. All right, there we go. Let's try that again. Now if we try to type PowerShell, what do we get? Boom, we're blocked. If we go to try to do PowerShell.ise, what do we get? We are blocked. And what if we were to try to take that PowerShell, okay, and let's go ahead and open the file location. And what if we were to try to take these things and try to copy it to the desktop and try to run it here? What happens? You're still blocked. It doesn't matter. You can try to run any of these. They're all going to be blocked because we've grabbed that internal information and the name and we're blocking it just like that. So goodbye to PowerShell. We can also do the same magic trick for command prompt. So if we go to new executable policy, again, we'll make it a combo rule. We'll do it by name and by file info. We're going to add anything that's called star cmd star, okay, and then we're going to grab that file info and we will get that here. So you see Windows System 32 cmd.exe. Okay, get that guy, and now we'll say when it is higher or equals to version 1 and higher or equals to version 1 and block, deny execution. Bang, bang, bang. We're done. Now, this command prompt is going to stay open because it's already running before we actually, got that rule in place. And I'm going to leave it open so I can keep running GP update. But the point is that when I try to run my next command prompt up here, watch what happens. I'll go ahead and just wait for this to finish. And as soon as I do, what do we get? Boom, blocked. If I try to run CMD this way, what do we get? Boom, it's blocked. So now we've just smack down one of the most important attack vectors that the bad guys can use against you. If users don't need to get to PowerShell or command prompt, boom, you've just done that in just under a couple of minutes. The next thing I want to do is talk about blocking scripts. So here's an example of a bunch of scripts that are just bad. Now, some of these scripts are going to be naturally blocked because we just blocked command prompt. So if you try to double click this, it's going to try to run a command prompt, and that's going to be automatically blocked. But not everything. For instance, this Java malware, that's not going to be blocked until we put the smackdown on it. Here's a JavaScript malware that's also not going to be blocked. The PowerShell malware, if we try to run with PowerShell, what do we get there? That's blocked. This VB, that VB script is not going to be blocked, and this VBS script is not going to be blocked. So what are we going to do? Let's go ahead and block all scripts. How do we do that? Right-click, add a new script policy. Okay, we're going to create a simple rule path where the path is anything. So we'll just say star. So we're going to add star. And so if it's any kind of script at all, we're going to deny execution, bing, bing, done. So now we've just put the smackdown on all the scripts. Let's go ahead and test that out. We'll run GP update real quick. Give this a second to finish up. Okay, so now let's re-go down the line here. We already know the batch files are automatically blocked. Let's take a look at this JavaScript malware. Now that's blocked. Let's take a look at the VB script malware. That's blocked. Let's take a look at this guy. That's blocked also. But what about a particular script? What if you wanted a particular script like this bat-correct to be run? How would you do that? Well, there's a couple of ways. The first way is just to note it by name. So if you wanted to open up a doggy door by name, you could do that. So I'll go ahead and just show you an example of how to do that. New script policy here, simple rule by name, okay, by path, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna browse for that script that I have here. C share. IT scripts. So the way we're going to do this is just take a note of the name. So the name here is bat-correct. So let's just take that name. We'll go ahead and add a new script policy here. And we're just going to say path, and we're going to add a new file here. Give it the name bat-correct.bat. Okay, we don't care where it is as long as it's called bat-correct.bat. We're going to allow and log it. So we're going to open up the doggy door and let this one particular batch file run. So before I run GP update, just to prove a point, it's being blocked. Now what I'll do is I'll run GP update here. Go ahead and give this a second to finish up. Okay, there we go. And now that this is done, let's try to double click bat.correct, and boom, it will run. Okay, that's good to go. All right. Now this script, there may be a circumstance though where you want to make it so that users can try to run scripts from your IT department. So let's say you have this scenario: whack whack DC 2016 share. Okay, and here's an IT script. Well, is this thing going to run or is it not going to run? It's not going to run because you said block all scripts except for the ones that you wanted to sanction. So in this particular case, you're going to say, hey, if you want your IT script over there on the server to open up, no problem. You're going to make a rule for it. You can do a folder rule or you can do a file rule. I'm going to make a file rule for that. So I'm just going to right click, add a new script policy here and make a simple rule. based on path or the name, and I'm going to say when that file is my whack DC 2016 share IT scripts. This particular batch file, okay, this batch file from IT, I can allow and log it, or if it needs to run with elevated rights, you can say, hey, run that script with elevated rights, which is what I'm going to do here. And now that particular batch file over there right now, it doesn't run. Okay, let's run GP update. Let's give this a second. And then when GP update is done, we'll rerun this script, and this script that lives over there on the server would normally be blocked because we said all scripts are going to die except this one, which is good to go. So let's go ahead and just give this a second to finish up, and then we'll go ahead and run it. Here we go. Double click. Boom. Script now runs because it's over there on the server, over there. And then we'll go ahead and see. Let's try to modify something that a standard user couldn't do, and boom, it's elevated and completes successfully, and then it will finish off the script when we're done doing things that only an admin would normally do, but this script is running elevated. Okay, so what we've covered so far is blocking command and PowerShell. We're blocking all scripts and allowing simply one script to run. I showed you kind of two examples of that. I showed you running a script that is local, and I also showed you a script running over there. Once again, though, if a user tries to take this script and copy it locally, is it going to run? No, it's not going to run because it's not being specifically allowed. Okay. The next thing I want to cover is Java, okay, which is a pretty simple thing here. It's similar to what we talked about before. So here's two Java apps. This is a malware that we pretend created. This could have been malware. And here's a real app. This is a real Java application called a DMG Extractor. If you wanted to make all Java go away, it's just 2 short clicks to do it. Right click, add new Java jar policy. Simple rule, path, we're going to add by file, we're going to say star, and then we're going to deny execution, bing, bing, on all things Java. And if we wanted to permit the not malware one, that's totally fine. We could do it by name, we could do it by path, and so on. So I'm going to just block them all, but if you wanted to, you could open up the doggy door just kind of like what I showed with scripts. Simply, either know the name, know the file hash. If it's digitally signed, you can use that as well. All those ideas where you can just open the doggy doors as needed. So let's see, do we block all Java? Yep, Java's blocked. Is Java blocked? Yep, you got it. Let's continue down the road with MSIs. I have a couple of MSIs here as well. For instance, here's terminal services setup.msi. You can see it would let me run this, and I don't really want to let users do that. What about this Skype setup? Is that allowed? Yep, that's going to be allowed. I don't want that to happen, and so on. So what we'll do is that we'll just right-click, add new Windows installer policy, and we'll make a simple path rule that says no more MSIs. Block, star, deny execution, bang, bang, done. And now just like that, let's go ahead and run GP update. And when this is over here, we'll go ahead and retry our MSIs and see what happens. So we've got these 3 are MSIs. Let's go ahead and see what happens after GP update is finished. And here we go. So here's Skype setup, and that's blocked. And here's terminal setup, and that's blocked. What's that? You want to open up the doggy door to let user install Skype setup? That's no problem. What do? Add new Windows installer policy. You might want to do a combo rule again that says when it's called Skype setup and signed by the Skype guys, at that point go ahead and let it install. So let's go ahead and browse for my share, and we'll do share apps to manage, and I've got Skype setup here, so I'm just going to call it Skype setup.msi. Okay, and then I'm going to use the signature condition that says when it's signed by the Skype guys. Okay, when it's signed by the Skype guys. All right, so I'm going to let that install with elevated privileges because it requires, Skype installer requires elevated privileges. So, right now you can see it's being blocked, but let me go ahead and run GP update here. Give this a second to finish up. And when it does, Skype setup that was blocked, all these other MSIs are just going to be completely blocked. But now Skype setup will not only run, it will install just fine. So let's go ahead and let's see that happen. Double click it. There we go. There's Skype setup. Next, next, next. And right here, you'd normally get a UAC prompt, but because we're running it elevated, boom, we're able to overcome that as a challenge. Okay, so I got one more thing to talk about, which is, remember, Secure Run is awesome. It separates what I call the wheat from the chaff, right? Here's all the stuff that you installed as a user, as an admin rather, and here's all the junk that people download as standard users, okay? Now, you already saw me do this in a previous demo, turning on Secure Run. But if you want to go kind of the next level, okay, if you really want to go bananas, which you're welcome to do so if you want to, that's why we provide this, we have a pre-configured XML to sort of help you out here. Let me just close these windows out here. We don't need these to get in the way. Whoops. Now, in the PolicyPak portal, we have some pre-configured advice for a bunch of different circumstances, like installing some stuff as admin or letting some things run as admin or some other circumstances. But this one is special. We call it block everything except mandatory processes. Let's actually go through it one by one. And again, it helps if you've watched the Secure Run video, the previous one that has Secure Run in it. Let's start off with block everything. When you block everything, that's what Secure Run does. Now, Secure Run is only going to run when the person is on the list. If we take a look at this particular policy, though, we've enabled it and we've got no members, okay? So we don't recommend you run like this unless you also do what's called add allow mandatory processes. These are things that we've identified that the operating system must be allowed to run, okay? So we're basically saying, turn on, close every doggy door, but open up these very important things that let the operating system do what it has to do. Okay, let's just stop right there and see this in action. Here's that command prompt, the last one we have up and running here. It's still, still good until we close it and reopen it. I want to show you what happens now when you turn this on. This is as turn to the right as you should probably get in terms of how high pressure you want to do this. So now that we've done this, let's see what happens. Can any old application run anymore? No, applications don't run anymore. You try to run any old application, no, it's not going to run anymore. It doesn't matter who you are, what the story is, no applications will run anymore at all. Now, the thing is though, you might have installed some applications correctly to certain locations like program files or program files x86. That's great. So in that case, you might want to drag in the last rule that says allow program files and so on right here. Let's go ahead and drag that in here. Bam. Okay, so we've got that. So we're allowing program files. Okay, we should see that here under least privilege here. Okay, and we also need to, actually that wiped out the other rules. So let's go ahead and let's rename this to add in program files, and then we're going to add in allow mandatory processes. There we go. So run mandatory processes. There we go. So now we're blocking everything. We're letting run the mandatory processes, and we're adding in letting the program files and program files x86 stuff run. So before, okay, we saw all this stuff, all the applications that we have installed are being blocked. Now let's go ahead. This is a good starting place again if you want to be pretty hardcore but not so hardcore that things won't run. This is a pretty good middle ground. Okay, now that we've run GP update here, what do we got? Let's go ahead. Our garbage applications, those aren't going to run. It doesn't matter what the story is. But now applications that we've sanctioned because we know that we've installed them correctly to program files x86 and so on, those are going to run just fine. Okay, so let's review all we did. Let's go back through the rules and let's make sure we got it all straight on how to use Least Privilege Manager for application control. We started off by creating some block rules for things like PowerShell, PowerShell ISA, ISE rather, and also the command prompt. Okay, so you've just blocked 3 big vectors like that. Then we blocked every kind of script. We also open the doggy door for a particular local script and a script from the IT department. We blocked all Java stuff. We blocked all MSIs. We opened up the doggy door again for a particular MSI to let that thing install if we needed to. And then we cranked it all the way to the right and we blocked everything unless it's in program files, and also a handful of mandatory processes that we recommend that you use to keep the operating system going. This is how you'd use PolicyPak Least Privilege Manager to turn on all the thumb screws and make it as secure as possible so that the bad guys can't get a toehold in. And that's about it. If you have any questions, we're here to help. Thanks for watching this kind of long video, but I hope you get to the goal, and that gets you what you need. Thanks so very much, and we'll talk to you soon.